But it includes so much more. It includes the financial piece that's focused solely on the business owner.
But the concept is relatively the same. It is, it's a situation of dealing with the owner leaving the business.
Mm-hmm.
Here's another question. Do you recommend buying or selling to the next generation? That's a loaded question.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking too, Steve. You know, I have a personal feeling, and this is just me personally, is that I think that people value something more when they pay for it than when it's given to them. And so I'm always one that looks at that, but I also know that there are some ways that may be more tax advantageous to turn around and look at doing gifting and getting value of businesses and assets out of one generation so that you're not dealing with onerous estate taxes and things like that. So it can go either way, I think is the proper answer. I think you have to look at each individual family situation and decide what makes the most sense. You know, does the owner have sufficient other assets? What's the estate tax implication? You know, a lot of things need to be considered.
No, I think that's a good point, Mark. I had one of my clients actually gifted their business to his 3 sons, and then they retained him as a consultant. And part of that process was stewardship of the assets from a philosophical standpoint of the family, but a lot of that was driven as well by some of the tax implications.
Mm-hmm.
And that revenue stream for he and his wife in the coming years.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of things have to be considered.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let me ask this question. In planning an exit, what are the biggest issues that you folks have seen?
I would say most of the issues fall into the mental readiness area. You know, we talked about the fact that business owners often get stuck being able to make the decision. We talk about the ostrich syndrome. And it's a very complex issue to deal with, one that requires us to have very honest conversations with people about what's important to them and to get them focused on looking ahead rather than looking behind and look at what they're leaving. But it's a complicated issue.
You folks talked about starting 3 to 5 years, at least I'm saying at least 3 to 5 years, and having that time frame. How long does it take to really put this exit plan in place, or this whole process? Is it like a one-time meeting? Is it over a 6-month period?
Wouldn't that be easy?
Yeah, right. Everyone would be doing it.
You could do it at the mall.
Our experience is that it takes from 4 to 12 months to actually complete the planning process. That really depends on the readiness and the availability of the owner. But that's just for the planning itself. That's got nothing at all to do with the implementation. And the implementation can take anywhere from between 6 to 18 months. And 6 is probably pretty quick when you know you have to deal with legal agreements and things like that. Each situation is going to be unique.
Okay. Karen and Mark, here's another question, and there's a little bit of length to it, so I'll read the entire thing. What if you want to sell the business and can't find a buyer? I have 3 brothers with a business and have had it for sale for years. They are frustrated they can't find a buyer for their retail business valued at $1.5 million. They want to sell for cash, not for a note payable in several years.
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is I'm wondering who they're dealing with as far as their mergers and acquisitions professional.
Who's valuing the business?
Well, that may be one issue. That's a great point, Karen, because what our experience has been is that business owners overvalue their business. Mm-hmm. So it takes a little getting used to as far as really accepting that it's not worth what they think it's worth. But the other side of it then becomes you've got to look at the professionals that are actually dealing with the sale of the business. The folks that we've dealt with, the people we've seen in action, I'd be really surprised that they weren't able to come up with some strategy, or at least be able to tell those folks why. There's something that's missing in that. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there. There's more than what we're being told, because if it's worth $1.5 million and it's truly worth $1.5 million, obviously the issue is one of wanting all the money up front. But that becomes, if that's the case, somebody who thinks the business is worth $1.5 million doesn't want to put the $1.5 million down, they may turn around and offer $1 million down or $1 million for the price. So it's one of those negotiations. And again, a lot of it's going to fall on the quality of the individual who is doing the merger and acquisition. That may be something that's worth a phone call about.
Yeah, and I want to make sure that your contact information is there. But I think your point too, Mark, is well taken, and that is where the valuation is really coming from and who is doing it. You know, when I look at the value of my car, I think it's worth pretty much until the insurance company comes and tells me it's really not worth that.
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
And those people who are professional appraisers, and there are those who just do that for a living, and we've also seen every one of the people that deal in the mergers and acquisitions area, they do appraisals also. They know what a business is worth if they've been in this business for a while. So, as I said, something doesn't sound right there. Maybe it's the quality of the individual who's handling the sale transaction or something. Oh, no.
Well, we are starting to come to the close of our time, and Mark and Karen, I certainly want to thank you for this challenging and informative time together. You folks have given us a lot of good information. I think, you know, as I think through and reflect here on the conversation that we've had, you know, three quick takeaways that I have is your point is very, very well taken, and I think hits the nail on the head. All business owners will eventually leave their business. I mean, that is going to be a given. And as you folks clearly laid out, is it going to be on your own terms or on somebody else's terms? And I think for our membership, that's something that they really need to begin to think about now, and what they want to leave their family and how they want to build that legacy. So I think that's one point. The second point that I would come up with is that kind of going back to your planning and the process of setting goals. I did some of my research included studying of goal setting in families, and that's a difficult area. But to your point, there are people that have that expertise, and you can get those people to help you develop and formulate those goals as you look at this transition. And as your one slide stated, deal with the fear head on. And I think that's a good point. And then I guess the third point is that, and Karen, I think you mentioned this, the happiest people are those with a positive, they're most positive when they were able to plan for it. I'm stumbling around some of those points because I think you covered so much territory, and I'd certainly open up to you guys if I'm missing something there.
You did a great job. Thank you.
Okay. Well, we at the Network of Family Business, again, I want to thank you both, Karen and Mark, for your thoughts, because these are critical issues for our membership and for families as they look to build their legacy. For those of you that need more information, you can contact Mark and Karen directly, and the information is there on the screen, or you can contact them through the Network of Family Businesses. And I encourage all of our membership to take advantage of the complimentary business assessment that Karen and Mark so graciously offered to our membership. And for our members, this presentation will be posted in the archives for future reference, and we will also be posting a podcast of this seminar on our premium website. Karen and Mark, thank you so much again.
Thank you for having us. Thanks, everyone.
My name is Steve. Thank you. My name is Steve Moyer. Thanks for joining us today. And remember, it's all about the network, helping families build their legacy.